Is the current correction over? Are we about to bounce back and run higher? This is one of the most asked questions in the last 10 days for sure. I'm going to explain that to you in the most basic way in the shortest time possible. If you do look at the price action, it gives you clear idea about that. But along with that, fundamentals should not be neglected, especially when you are looking at something like this, where Stellar is now starting to advertise market for the CBDCs, the fintech, the asset-backed stable coins. So the stable coin war is real. How is this going to play out? If you look at every region of the crypto market, majority of the metrics is now turning positive. That's heavy. That's huge. But the primary question we want to answer right now, or at least try to answer, is the fact that is the correction over? Are we about to bounce back higher? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Primary thing to look at before you answer this question is the general market for the alts. So I'm excluding Ether, taking the total altcoins, excluding Ether. First thing, RSI. It shows me the correction is not done yet. It still has some room to the downside. MACD suggests that the volume is pushing to the downside, which is supporting RSI. Okay, fine. Now you go look at the trend side of things, where the corrective leg is that completed. The 1, 2, 3 is done. Now most likely the ABC is in the picture. Is it completed yet? No one knows. But the RSI suggests it is not. The MACD suggests that it is not. Then you zoom in. A 3-day chart. Can you actually see divergence? I think this is a divergence developing right now in front of us. So any bounce at this point would argue we have a hidden bullish divergence. So yes, that's not on a weekly, but when you start zooming in on a daily, we're now getting this point. Now what does that mean? That's a checkmate pattern. Remember, we talked about the exact same pattern few days back, and we got it played just like we wanted. But that was a micro move for sure, from 666 billion towards 715 billion. Then you came back down. So the short term, the micro scenario on the total altcoin market can be a bounce first. But if we don't breach this local point, we're going to go back lower. That's the story there. But someone else on the other end looks a bit more promising. Not for the long-term horizon, but for the short-term narrative. You pick Bitcoin on a 3-day chart, and what you're watching in front of you is a candle close, which means a confirmed price action. That's something you don't debate on. That's something which shows, yeah, right now you have this, which is 100% certain that happened. So now you can slowly go back in time, and find similar candles and ask the question, what the hell did that candle show us? That was a local bottom. If you do look at this, it was in a continuation pattern. The bottom which that candle put in was not breached. It was the same here. So what can we expect or anticipate here? It says, I'm not going to go below 63. This is the 3-day chart, huh? Is arguing that point. So we're like, okay, is it just those 2 times? No, when we go back in time, we are watching these similar candles. The upside, the downside, the choppiness, it's all common. We have seen these candles just before the price started bouncing, or in other words, when you form the local bottom, this happened. Now, zoom in and ask yourself this question. What do you see? Price went up, it came back down, and now it's in the tight zone. It's not a doji, it's still on the selling side. Sellers are winning, but if you compare the previous volume candle with the current volume candle, you get to see we almost had 70-80% of the volume and the fluctuation as well. But by the candle close, it faded out. So on the Bitcoin side, things are starting to look more and more positive. So you start zooming in. You would like to see where we are. And that kind of gives you an easy idea that, okay, the key range is here, 61,250, 61,500. That's going to be the key level. But the price structure is all that I'm looking at now. Okay, what if the 1, 2, 3 kind of thing, which was like a textbook pattern based on the last cycle, is formed? Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's the ABC to the upside and then another ABC, which doesn't make any sense. So understand the narrative is still set on your macro direction, because unless you can clearly get the wave counts, it's not right. That's one of the primary reasons why we say zoom a little bit out, where the price action shows you this clearly. And that's exactly where we say, okay, the 1, 2, 3 to the upside is kind of done. The ABC is kind of done. What you're trying to make right now is the next leg higher. So maybe this is the 1, this is the 2, you are going to do a 3, which would be more or less what we just saw back here. So Bitcoin is arguing that part. When Bitcoin bounces off, it won't just be Bitcoin. It would give some room for alts to breathe. That's why the argument of this coming back up and then coming back down to test these levels makes more sense. On a daily side of things, when you zoom out, you get to see the RSI is kind of close to the rock bottom level, close to 30. And that's a daily. Now, you put it on a 3-day chart and you're like, okay, we're still at 40. That's not bad. And if you do look at things a little bit conservatively, you can argue, okay, we still have some room. This kind of a choppiness would make more sense. But then you move on to assets like XRP, where we are still range bound. We didn't move up or down. We're still inside this pattern, and it's testing your patience to the teeth for sure. There is no other doubt. There's no questions asked. It's the reality in front of you. So if you are looking at accumulating this asset for next cycle or a few years to come, that's an entirely different story. Your horizon is longer. Whereas if that's shorter, you're not buying it here. You want to make sure there is a trend which is moving to the upside, and then you double down on that. This is one of the primary reasons why the current argument which the market is making gives you a lot of signs. The ecosystem for Ether is now starting to go through its scaling. Interesting. Which means ERC20s, watch them. It's not me saying that, it's the data points in the market suggesting that. That's one of the primary reasons why the Bitcoin dominance is not going up. It's not breaking through the roof. Even though we can actually see that it's slow, instead of breaking directly to the downside, it is still holding on to that pattern. The level of patience which you need to get a confirmation of a rejection here, a break to the downside, is going to decide your win rate, is going to decide your returns rate in the cycle, especially when the macro chart here clearly argues one thing. You can easily say that you're close to a bottom, but maybe not the exact bottom. That's okay, that's fine. That's how the long-term guys get in. They don't try to time the market, because time in the market gives you way more understanding of the market and ROI than trying to time the market. So here we are on a monthly chart. The altcoin market does show you the initial run up. The leg one is kind of slowing down. And in this macro wave, what we may see here is this action. But then the question becomes like, okay, if that's what we are going to watch here on the altcoin market, what should be the downside be? Is it just a 30% drop? Would that make some sense? Because here the wave 1 actually dropped 30. So wave 2 most likely is going to be 30. That's okay. Why? On a micro or a macro, you usually get to see this. Wave 1 is shorter in upside and longer in downside. Wave 2 is way bigger to the upside and way comparatively smaller to the downside, while you're comparing it with wave 1 to wave 2, obviously. If we put that scenario here, we are now putting an argument that the current correction is almost at its ending phase and we would soon see the price reversing back up. So the Bitcoin dominance is important here because we want to argue the point that a lot of these alts are going to follow the Bitcoin. Not everyone. We talked about that in the last video. But once you understand that the fundamentals, the utility, it's important, you don't neglect these assets. Just like XRP is in front of you, just like XLM is in front of you, you don't neglect them. The base argument as an investor throughout time is that you buy things at a support. You buy things when they are down. And when they are down and at a support, it gives you way more benefit than any other time. So if you are a big fan of this, and as you are watching that the marketing side is increasing. Last time, if you remember, in 2021, we noted a lot of different assets doing exceptionally well when the fundamentals or utility was not perfect, was not good that much. But what was better was a marketing effort. So the company was trying to get on to people's head, which kind of gave the market the thought process, okay, this is about to blast off, let me buy this. I want a pie, a piece of this pie. And that's what pushed the entire price action back then. So right now when we are here, when we are involved in this market, understanding the fact that what market shows is what you should believe. And especially a candle close has way more importance than the candle which is now in making, because the completed structure makes a lot more stress relief than something which is still playing out. So on a macro chart, you don't have an argument that whether it's XRP, whether it's any other asset which you are in favor for, Bitcoin matters. Ether and its price action matters. That's why the direction of the money is being discussed a lot more in this channel. That's why the entire trend of the market is being discussed this much in this channel. Now, when you look at the crypto market as a whole, and then you try to ask the question to yourself, okay, what am I really watching? Is it a choppy consolidation range here or here? In both cases, what comes after that is very interesting and rewarding for those who are here. So the short question to be answered is like this. If you're looking at the current market saying the market has to go down, yeah, some of these assets will go down. But Bitcoin kind of started to show you that it may not do too much to the downside. On a shorter horizon, though, I would like to see a fake push to the upside initially and then a drop here, right? You're coming back down to test this range and then slowly chop back up. The pattern formation is bullish. Falling wedges are bullish, which usually gives us 65-70% odds to the upside. But the whales, I don't trust them. So I will look for something like this on a macro horizon. How long will it go? That will completely depend on the volume, the surge in the volume and the strength increase. Because we are already starting to watch divergence developing in Bitcoin. We are already watching the entire market, Ether, XLM, XRP, different assets together to see which direction it is going. Because when you're in the market, you would actually notice some of these coins are comparatively better than others. Then you go in there and you are asking a question like, okay, are we actually bursting through or can this be a trap? That's why in the SI family, we break things down for hundreds of assets so that you know whether that's going to be a trap or the odds suggest that it's going to be an opportunity versus a trap. So if you want to get that, use the link in the description below and reach out in the SI family where thousands of members are readily there. And if you would like to smash that button, do that now for me. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.